All right, allow me to say, how are you all this evening, dear time, as you create time to exist?
We will begin this evening. Discussion with sharing. Yes.
I felt a lot of anger today. I feel, I guess, associated. I feel a lot of anxiety going back to visit my family over Christmas. So a big truck ran into my car last night, and I didn't realize how. I guess I didn't realize how angry I was. I think there's just a lot underneath.
All right. You are releasing in various ways, giving yourself different symbols that will aid you, assist you in releasing when you find yourself in the particular situation of being in communication with those family members or other individuals. When you come up to the point of making a choice between, I'll say, having the conviction to simply, I'll say who you are, say what you are, know what you are, express yourself freely. In this way, you will find that you will then have given yourself a symbol on many levels. One of simply striking out at yourself in this way, and also one of the idea of diverting your course. The idea of your physical, vehicular interaction in this way will have been mostly an idea that you wish to divert your course. You follow me? You will not in this way fall into what you believe to be the pitfalls of the interactions you are dreading. In this way, you simply reflected to yourself that it is simply the belief that course you are on that will lead to discomfort, pitfall, that has created the symbol for you of being on a course in your driving that led to that clash. You follow me? It is a reflection for you of how you believe the path you are on will lead to discourse with your individuals. You follow me?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like a pretty deep-rooted, maybe it's a habit, huh?
All right, in part, yes.
I mean, I feel, there's a part of me that feels really good.
Yes. Now, understand also, when you say, well, all right, maybe it is deep-rooted. To a degree, yes, perhaps you can look at it that way, but also understand, since you are willing to bring it to the surface in a physical interaction to act as a symbol to show you what you believed, then it is no longer deep-rooted. And it is right there, very easy for you to deal with now, right on the surface, right in your consciousness, something you can now consciously choose.
So, I mean, I suppose, it's all positive creation that the acts have happened, but it doesn't, those things don't always feel, well, I guess when I judge them.
Very good.
I got very, this is something that always gets me angry, and it's, I guess because when I was growing up, my father was a very dominant figure, and I really resisted him. And this idea of being taken care of, even though part of me is attracted to the false security of that. And today, this little foreign guy and I were fighting over this pay telephone, and he said, I told him, look, I really need to use his phone. I was here first, and I saw that, and he said, you need someone to take care of you. And I felt so angry.
But again, very good, attracting the exact individual who would openly discuss what you have been rejecting within you. Now, simply recognize in this way, therefore, that all of this is becoming surfacely conscious within you. You are now examining and dealing with all these ideas right out in the open, so that you can make a choice to change if you do not prefer it. And in this way, simply recognize that all the individuals that have made you, quote-unquote, made you feel that way in the past, well, recognize simply that it was your way of, in a sense, giving yourself something to push against to get where you are now. Recognize that all those purposes have already been served. Now that you are bringing it to your conscious forefront, you can recognize you do not need that symbol anymore. And in this way, if you simply begin to act like you know you are taking care of yourself, you will allow them to change their perspective in such a way that they do not have to present to you the idea that you need taking care of.
I also feel very sad that my car is all smashed up. It's like,
All right.
it's really important to me to have a car that looks nice,
All right, but again, simply, once again, recognize that many times you will put extensions of your belief system into the physical objects around you. Now, allow me to ask you, if you had a choice, would you rather the truck hit your body?
No.
All right.
No, but why make choices like that?
All right, but now that you have made one and allowed it to serve a purpose, you know you do not have to do it again. Simply that was your way to jar yourself into conscious recognition of the choices that you were making or the judgments you were making about the path you were on.
Well, I'm curious, this is a co-creation, so obviously the person who hit me
well, yes,
is going to...
but in this way, to a certain degree, recognize that when you say everything is a co-creation as it is, this does not mean that they are examining many things in exactly the same way.
No.
They may simply have been willing to be of service to reflect that to you by simply being at the right place and the right time to do so. And it may have no more consequence for them than that.
What a wonderful guy.
All right. Well, okay. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Bashar?
Yes.
Good evening. I have quite a few questions about you, your civilization, and the triad, and I think we have got a lot of people who haven't been here before. Could you tell us a little more? For example, you are Professor Sani,
Yes.
which is in the direction of your Orion. I understand that.
Yes.
And there us, and the third party is Sirius, right?
Yes.
Now, who's on Sirius?
Many individuals.
Well, what kind of civilization? What is there?
Oh, thank you. Now, there are third, fourth, fifth, and sixth density civilizations. Now, the one, I'll say, the level of consciousness with whom the majority of you have been most familiar in terms of the Sirius connection comes from sixth density. And in this way, you will find that they exist in a quasi-energy state, quasi-material state, and in this way recognize themselves through their third, fourth, fifth, and sixth density materializations. They are quite a bit more blended than even our civilization across the entire spectrum of their dimensionality. So even the physiological civilization of the fourth density is almost non-material, although the third dimensional one is material.
Sirius.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, Sirius is your name for the star itself. They do not live on the star.
Okay.
Simply in this way, recognize that the planet in every dimensionality will also, like yours, like ours, be the third planet from the star. And in this way, you will understand that the one that we are most familiar with in terms of the communication will be the one that will, to you, appear to be a planet with no solid surface. It will be more like an energy sea in which the beings exist, floating around. Now, in a sense, the projection mentally. They usually explore the universe mentally rather than within the idea of spacecraft, and in this way, the projection of their mentality to your civilization in times past, because of their quasi-energy state, because they exist in an energy sea, so to speak, it was perceived by your civilization that these beings were then amphibious, which is not literally so. Although many ideas of God and deityhood were granted to them in amphibious form, in the level of understanding that your civilization could make of it. In this way, you will understand that they do have some physiological form that is, in your terms, somewhat humanoid, though it will be very, in your terms, plain, very smooth, almost featureless. In this way, they will have the ability to change their shape to some degree, and in this way, you will find that their planet, the energy sea, will be more rarefied on the outer edges and will become, in your terms, somewhat energy dense toward the center, and in the very center there will be a black hole through which they communicate and project their consciousness to all portions of all that is. That is what they use as a mass consciousness and individually to explore the universe.
What names do they give themselves when they relate to us?
They call themselves Sistine.
Oh. Who are the Ogathans?
All right, we do perceive that there is a consciousness that is referred to in that way which does have interaction with your planet. What is your experience? What is your definition?
Very little. I heard a program Saturday night in which a woman was interviewed. Her name is Greta Woodrue, I believe. And she has been channeling the Ogatans. The only thing that I got from it was that the channeling information was mostly about physical survival, and I thought that's rather strange if it comes from a highly developed civilization.
All right. Now understand once again that the interpretation is coming from your dimensionality,
Right.
not from theirs. And in this way, we perceive them to be, or at least the portion of them communicating with your civilization, to be of a higher density. In this way, therefore, recognize that many interpretations in your civilization are, in this way, filtering the information. They are also presenting the symbology in a way that certain individuals with, I'll say, the habit of looking at the idea of survival or not, can understand the information first. You will find it will change. All the information upon your planet that is coming through, that deals with the terminology that you are used to hearing in terms of your symbology, your particular idea of the separation of your powers from yourself, will ultimately change when, I'll say, you change into integration. You will then find that they will speak, or you will understand them more from the idea that no one needs saving. Whereas now you are simply interpreting the idea of the shift you will be making as something that will be done for you from outside. You follow me?
Right, right.
Which it will not be.
Okay. About SSani, I was curious. You have spacecraft, right?
Yes.
How do you build them? Do you visualize them and they're there, or do you have factories? Or?
In this way, because we have a materiality to some extent, you will find that we will, in your physical terminology, have, in a sense, factories. They will be constructed by forming an energy pattern. Different portions of them will be constructed in this way, and then they will be assembled. But you will find that the energy pattern will then allow the material, the crystalline metal material out of which they are constructed, to grow on the pattern. In this way, once they have the shape of the pattern, they cannot be changed in shape. Thus, even the thinnest layer of this material will not be able to be dented, nor torn, nor bent, because it will obey the original template of energy upon which it was built, which had a certain shape, which is not a material thing and cannot be shifted. Follow me?
Yes, thank you. But you don't need to actually come in your spacecraft to channel through Darrow, do you? Can you do it directly from where?
Many times we are in proximity in our craft, but every time it is not a matter of being in proximity, for I have many times, as you say, channeled through from the proximity of my own solar system.
Okay. Do you have jobs the way we do? Okay.
This is one of them.
Okay.
We do not have money.
What other kinds of jobs are there?
Many different kinds. I am, in your terms, a technician, engineer. There are many different ideas, but individuals will simply do what they are attracted to do. No one ever really has a fixed job that is assigned to them. They attract themselves to whatever they enjoy and do it.
And how did you learn? How did you acquire the knowledge to become an engineer?
Thank you. By simply allowing myself to be attracted to those situations and learning, as you say, on the job.
I see. How do you, at least in the beginning when you first started in our time framework, how do you perceive us? I mean, how are you able to speak so well through Darrow? I know you use his organs and all that, but surely there's a very big difference in language and usage of language.
All right. We simply, in this way, project our consciousness, the overall concept, which we wish to communicate with you, and in this way we rely on the ability of the physiological channel to act as a translation device, and this way allow the appropriate wordage to be drawn from your own vocabularies. We simply will sense. It is, in a way, simply a direct sensing. Allow me to put it in terms of an analogy. You are in a room by yourself. know somewhere on the other side of the wall there is another individual. You know that the individual has a bottle. You fill your room with water. Their room is also full of water. The bottle floats. You wish to send them a message. You wish to give them the message by having the bottle float one way or another. Therefore, what you do, since you cannot talk to them directly, is you will attempt to set up currents in the water that will influence the movement of the bottle in a particular direction. You follow me?
Yes.
This is an analogy of the methodology involved. We sense the currents of electromagnetic gravitic energy between our mentality and your mentality, and we simply play them in much the same way that you may play an instrument and evoke the chords and vibrations that to us seem to be the closest representation that you have in your language for the concepts we are sending. We set up harmonious syncretic vibrations. Now, we know from time to time there will be misunderstanding, both in the terminology that you have upon your planet that may not exist to express concepts we have, and also in, I'll say, like manner, you will have concepts we are not familiar with, and in this way there may be some juggling of the energy from time to time until we focus in on something that will represent a common vibration.
Right. Now, are all the words that you use in Daryl's conscious vocabulary?
Yes.
Okay.
Sometimes unconscious vocabulary.
Oh, I see. Okay. So anything that he's read or perceived in the past, you have access to in a sense. Yeah.
From time to time, depending upon the willingness and the openness of the channel, there may be an opportunity to pull through ideas which exist in the overall mass consciousness, while not specifically existing in the memory of his individual consciousness.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you! Yes! One moment. You're next.
On this subject of words and stuff like this is quite interesting. I wanted to say that you probably prefer not to but. However, in our language, there's a negative connotation, which I believe is the one you prefer not to use, and you prefer not to have it used.
All right, although we have said it many times.
Yes, and there's also a positive connotation, which just means I'm now about to express a different point of view.
Oh, yes, we understand that.
So it's okay to say but.
Oh, we have never said it is not okay.
Right.
From time to time, we point it out because in the specific, I'll say, dialogue being undertaken, it may illuminate, perhaps because the exact words do not exist in your language for some of the concepts that we perceive, it may illuminate to help underline a certain word or concept that you have, all of the subtle shadings of the meanings of the overall idea we are discussing.
Okay. But underlying this word seems to become a habitual ritual.
All right.
It's not necessary to do it every single time.
All right. But again, it will be different for every individual.
Right.
And at times you will find, as we have said, we will use the word. At times we will say nothing when an individual says but. And at times we will, when we feel it is appropriate to the conversation.
Okay. Another subject is you use the image or the idea of fighting fire with fire in such a way that makes me wonder if you really know how it's used on this planet, and that it does have a positive use.
All right, we understand that terminology again, but recognize that in all the opportunities in which we have had to use that simile, we have then applied it to the context of the conversation in a way that simply implies that it only makes a bigger fire, when the individual is concerned with not having any fire at all.
I realize that, but in a sense, your use of fighting fire with fire as an analogy of a negative manifestation is not exactly valid.
Why not? Everything is valid.
Well,
maybe it is not valid for you, but it perhaps was valid between the conversation of the individuals that were involved.
Okay, well, just for explications, in fighting fire with fire, one creates a controlled fire in a either along a line or a perimeter around an uncontrolled fire, burns a controlled patch, such that when the uncontrolled fire comes up to the controlled, the area that has been burned in a controlled manner, there's no more fuel for the uncontrolled fire to burn.
All right.
Therefore, it's not that it necessarily creates more fire, it's that it puts out the fire.
We understand that terminology. Also, however, we also understand that more land has been burnt.
That is true, but not more land that as would have been burnt had there been no controlled fire.
That depends on whether or not you may choose another method for putting out the fire.
Right. But sometimes in terms of efficiency, that's the most efficient manner.
Perhaps as your civilization knows its technology now, yes.
Of course. We have to be working within our technology.
All right, but understand, usually when we use that terminology, we have never really been referring to the physiological act of putting out a physical fire.
I know, but the analogy seems pretty far off.
For you.
Okay. All right, well, I speak with anybody else who shares my views.
All right. Thank you.
I have another question. How would you define, I certainly just recently begun to hear about scalar waves. Would you define that for me as you understand it? We're using it on this planet, apparently.
Thank you. Our perception of that concept will be a type of measurement of overlapping patterns of wave fronts such that you recognize that within a combined measurement of many different wave fronts, you may have another type of wave implied over the normally recognizable system. So that you recognize that within one system of measurement, by adding together all the different components in one system of measurement, you give yourself a progression that may lead you to realize there is another type of system overlapped on top of that one. The measurement of the difference between the two systems will be what we perceive to be the basic foundation for scalar mathematics.
Okay, I understand scalar mathematics. This is something different, I believe. It may connect in some way. What I understand this to be is some kind of an energy beam, I'll say, that is projected, which, when projected from a single source point, doesn't create much of an effect. However, when projected from two source points such that the two beams from the separate source points cross, the area within which they cross creates electromagnetic phenomena, which are apparently affecting the weather on our planet, creating
all right.
Those things, yeah. I'm wondering how that's generated. Are the Soviets, in fact, using those things?
Thank you. Both of your governments are experimenting with that idea. What is happening is this. When the wave fronts cross, they are forming a generation of electromagnetic energy 90 degrees out of phase with your normal energy electromagnetic pattern upon your planet. And in this way, it is, how you say, causing a feedback loop in such a manner no terminology, all right. If you have something that pushes 90 degrees out of phase, it will, in a sense, go through all the different dimensionalities round in a loop, and when it comes back through, it will cause there to be a controllable polarity 180 degrees opposite to the effect that you have in the area in which you initially crossed the beams. So you will be causing what you call highs and lows in the same area, in the same proximity. You will be causing fronts, which will then be unstable and fluctuate back and forth between the two polarities, 180 degrees out of phase. And in this way will cause much in the way of instability in the electromagnetic fluid, which one of the effects of only one, there are several effects, one of the effects of control to a certain degree will cause there to be the electromagnetic attraction of the ionic structures in your atmosphere that will gather together. The ideas of ozone, electromagnetic force, can cause what you call storm, can cause what you call twisters. You follow?
Yes. How is each beam generated?
It is a pulsed, a magnetically pulsed ion discharge.
Ion discharge.
Yes. The basic principles are between the 180-degree phase, the polarity of positive and negative ions.
Okay, so it's an alternating.
Yes.
Sounds like something that Tesla was.
He touched upon some of those ideas,
Yeah.
although used them in different ways.
Okay, so it's not technically a radio wave per se, but.
Not exactly, no.
Okay, when you speak of an ion thing, is it then not? It must be electromagnetic.
Yes. Electromagnetic pulsing.
Okay, and the ions are generated as a result of the electromagnetic pulsing.
The ions are contained in what you call magnetic bottle, plasma form, pulsed, and in this way the energy, the phasing between them, causes the beam, which creates the scalar waves.
Okay. Is the beam itself a beam of ions then?
It is more, again, a beam of phased electromagnetism.
Okay.
The ions themselves do not come out of the device, but they give off their electromagnetic charge in relation to each other that causes a 90-degree phase to project itself 90 degrees from the interaction of the positive and negative ions in the magnetic bottle.
Okay, now I got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bashar?
Yes.
Yes. I have a question about two people in my life. Each one, I want to know the nature of the relationship. The first one, I want to know, where he's at with me and what the relationship is. This first person is a teacher. Do I need to say his name? Or would you like me to?
Proceed.
His name is Tim Paul, and he's a very dear teacher and friend.
All right. Now, may I interrupt you for a moment?
Yeah.
Now, you have already said he is a very dear friend. I will now assume, therefore, that what you are asking is something quite different. For is that not a part of the nature of your relationship?
Yes.
What do you mean, what is the nature of our relationship?
Okay. We have had some interreaction, and then there's been a space where we haven't, and so I just want to know the direction where it's going and where he's at with it. And it's been kind of vague lately, and I just need some clarity on it.
Do you feel that you yourself have been a little vague in your life?
Oh, yes, lately.
Then is it any surprise that anything else would be vague? In this way, simply, if you wish interaction, why not get in touch?
I have done that.
All right then. Why is it still vague?
Because I haven't gotten any communication back.
What do you feel that you might require from them? For what reasons do you feel you wish the communication?
I guess it's just more getting in touch and clarity in the person.
You feel you need the communication for clarity? Is this what you are saying?
Inspiration, I guess you could say.
Is there a difference?
Perhaps not.
All right. Now, perhaps the silent times are an opportunity for you to be in communication with yourself and give yourself your own inspiration so that you can be equal to your teacher rather than always only being a student. You are a teacher too, you know. Everyone is. Now, in your terminology, the best, quote-unquote, teachers will recognize this, and perhaps in this way will let go a little bit to give you some room to fly, so that you can provide your own illumination, so that you do not have to rely on them to run things for you, to give you your clarity. When you allow yourself to simply stop being vague about yourself and act within the conviction that you are also your own teacher, whether anyone else is around or not, then perhaps you will create a type of equality that will then allow you to interact with him more often, because then you will be on the same vibration. You follow?
Yes.
Does that make sense to you?
That makes a lot of sense.
All right.
Now, the second person is a more romantic involvement, and I need some understanding about good objective perspective.
An objective perspective. All right. Now, let us go back to the first question. Do you have an objective perspective about yourself? In terms of your part in the relationship. Why you are there. Why you have co-created it. Why you have attracted him. Why he has attracted you.
Yes, it's becoming clearer.
All right. Do you, again, in the same manner as the first question, feel that you need the relationship in order to be complete, or can you recognize yourself as complete before you attract a relationship?
I'm working towards that very strongly now, because I've recognized that I have strong relationships towards me because I haven't been complete.
All right.
Working on with every fiber of my being.
Then, simply recognize you don't have to work so hard. Because you are really already, in an overall sense, complete. Simply the idea of, quote-unquote, working to become complete is not actually working to become complete, but allowing yourself to become more aware of the completeness that already exists. You follow me?
Yes.
Now, allowing yourself to become more aware of the completeness that already exists is much less tiring than working towards completion.
Sounds great.
Therefore, allow yourself simply to recognize all the things you are recognizing in terms of your co-creation in the relationship. If you always know where you stand, it will be easy for you to understand where everyone else stands. The vagueness in what everyone else is up to is from the vagueness in yourself. You follow?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
In metaphysics,
Then you.
in metaphysics, there's the idea that in order to have an ascension, or to not create more physical life, that you must work out your karma and all this. I was curious, is it really the person's own belief system that determines their amount of lifetimes that they create or they come back to? Or?
It is not the belief system that determines that. It is the higher consciousness. It is the oversoul that determines that. Mm-hmm. Now, your karma is completely self-constructed. It is what you want to explore about yourself. It is how you want to see yourself as balanced. You form a personality construct out of the three substances that you would call beliefs, emotions, and thoughts. Therefore, in this way, you can recognize that once you are, once again, in a linear sense, non-physical, it is always up to you how to proceed with your idea of growth, whether it be through a physical reincarnation again, whether it be through an incarnation in the same place again, whether it be no physical incarnation at all. It is up to you.
So it's more or less your level of growth that you reach in order to proceed from there.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Now, once again, also recognize that all of these things are also happening simultaneously. And from the non-physical point of view, this is more obvious. Therefore, in that state of being, not state of mind, but state of being, it is not so much of a puzzle as to what to do. You simply shift your focus and become that, another fragment of that which you already know yourself to be. You follow?
Yes.
Will this have answered your question?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
Bashar, what is a black hole, and are they created, and what are they used for?
Many things. Now, in your quote-unquote technological vernacular, it is a stellar phenomena, although there are many different types of black hole. The one you are now most familiar with in your society is simply a star that has a certain amount of mass energy, and when it ceases to be an interactive, nuclearly interactive phenomena, it will no longer support the idea in mass of being able to contain its shape, to hold its shape, to act as a burning star, as you say. It will collapse through the gravitational fields of the mass energy, and depending upon the amount of mass originally contained in the star, it will be determined as to exactly how far it will collapse into its center. Those stars over a certain degree of mass will collapse, in your terms, so far that they will punch a hole, in a sense, from one dimension, your dimension, into another dimension. And in this way, they emit nothing. Well, almost nothing. Some of them will emit nothing, in a sense, that you can perceive. In this way, you will say that not even light is emitted, and so they are dark. They become a black hole. Now, depending upon how you approach them, there are many things that can happen. You can, in this way, be physiologically destroyed, in your terms. You can be rendered into energy, converted. Or you can utilize them by the manipulation of fields as simply this, doorways from one dimension to another. And many times, many civilizations do so when they go from one dimension to another. Now, you have, in a sense, a black hole of a type in the center of your brain and in the center of every cell in your body. And it is through these doorways that you are constantly recreating your physical form from the non-physical template universe by an outpouring and an influxing of energy, always creating the polarity of yourself in that way. So you not only have black hole, but white hole in that sense, overlapping. All of your connections to all the multidimensional self that you are go through this black-white hole. You follow me?
Yes.
Well, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Last week you said that we'll begin to realize that, I don't know what you said, but I already realized, I was going to tell you something about that. Oh yeah, that we don't really need you.
Yes.
Well, I realized that a while back.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. But, I don't want you to think we didn't want you.
That is not the same thing.
I know, I just wanted to point it out. But I did want to point out that I noticed, I think when we started the channelings here, like sometime last year, maybe in March or something like that, I remember when I came, I had the feeling some of the other people felt the same way I did. We kind of felt, well, I know at least one other person did, I don't know how the rest of them did, but kind of like that our creation here maybe wasn't as valid as yours, and I don't know, I kind of felt like you were the scumbags of the universe or something. You know what I mean? Like,
we understand many of you have that belief about yourselves, yes.
Well, not anymore.
All right.
Because...
Well, some of you still do.
But, you know, because sometimes we would look at it and say, well, gee, maybe, you know, because they communicate telepathically and we use words, or they have a kind of spaceship that we don't, or we have war and they don't, so we kind of say, gee, we're really... you know, not very on the ball and stuff like that. And then at some point after that, I realized that, you know, I did realize that what we're doing is valid, and I don't totally understand all of it. I mean, I know it's different. It's not necessarily better or worse, but
yes.
I know it's different and something.
It served your purpose.
Right. Right. Now, this is really so funny. Let's see. I don't know. I used to feel kind of, you know, like really worried about my future. I didn't know what I was doing here. I felt kind of trapped or alone.
Yes. And now?
And now, I don't feel that way. I feel like a more part of the team. You know, I feel like more, I don't feel like I'm all alone out in the middle of nowhere, and I don't worry, like, about my future. One thing I discovered is now I have more trust in myself, and I'm not really looking for somebody else to like. Before, all my life, I was always looking for someone to lay out a path and say, "Here, follow me," or "Here's the way to do it," and someone lay it out for me. And I found, it never worked. And then now I feel good because I feel like, I feel like I'm on my own.
Yes.
I can trust myself to do what I need, and that I'm going to lead myself exactly where I need to be, right?
Oh, thank you.
Well, the reason I wanted to say this, I said, well, maybe I won't say it because sometimes you say that you're getting our communication anyway, and I thought perhaps you could tell that some of us has changed our mind, that we don't really feel like love.
We can sense the shift in a general sense.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can sense it specifically for individuals.
Okay.
However, in this way, recognize also that since it is your methodology to physically communicate, to express yourself,
Yeah.
the communication will then have conviction of your belief.
Okay. Yeah, well, let's see. So that's something I wanted to share.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome very much.
Bashar?
I'm not done.
No.
Okay.
When she's done, we'll talk.
I got
All right.
something else. Okay. The other question I had was, it was on the idea of reincarnation, right?
Right.
Now, I'm kind of, in a way, looking at this from a fragment type viewpoint, right?
All right.
What I'm thinking is, let's say, this Mary Edler number 4 type,
Yes.
whatever, right? Let's say I was to die tomorrow, right?
All right.
Well, it's would the same fragment or the same essence, just that part of it, create a new life, or, you know what I'm saying? Is it like that, or is it just that the oversoul has different bodies and lives and things going on all at once? You know what I mean?
Oversoul has different lives and bodies going on all at once.
Okay. But still, would it also be, let's say...
You, as a fragment,
Yeah.
are contained within the whole and contain the whole. And this is why each and every life can understand the portions, the other portions it has been or will be. It is not so much that it is exactly the same personality, because personality is a physical thing.
Okay. But let's say, a person remembered another lifetime, right?
Yes.
But it's not necessarily in the line, last lifetime I died in 1969, and then I was born again in 1960. It doesn't necessarily...
It can be, but it does not have to be.
It doesn't have to be. But it... Okay. I'm trying to get the word what I'm trying to get across. Oh, it's okay. Okay, I got something else. I wanted to see if I could get a suggestion on, from a different viewpoint. I find that I'm much happier when I don't judge things as much as being bad or good, or, somebody does something and I don't say, oh, what a terrible person for doing that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
When I just let things be how they are and see what they are. And then when I did that, I became more aware of, the purposes for some of the things I did.
Yes.
That I maybe felt like I was saying shame on you to myself for, right?
Yes.
So a lot of that, I found ways to get over that judgment. And I was wondering, because there's still things that I judge it, and it doesn't really make me feel good, to do it.
All right.
And I know, but
Thank you.
stop doesn't work.
All right. Then what does work for you?
I don't know.
How have you created all the other ways in which you chose not to judge?
Well, just, it would just happen at the right timing. Something
All right.
would happen.
Then that is one way that works for you.
Yeah, that way works.
All right
I
then.
guess I was just trying to push it,
Trying. All right.
Yeah.
Pushing. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
But in that way, but in that way,
Yeah.
trying and pushing are forms of judgment, and will only create more judgment.
Yeah. It should be an empty nest.
If you say so.
Yeah, well,
Our suggestion is simply this.
Yeah.
3 words. Relax and enjoy.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, paradoxically,
reject the
recognize that many individuals you recognize to be quote-unquote all here are actually almost not here at all. And that is why they seem to be all here. You follow me?
People who can manipulate well, or, you know, like...
Yes, are functioning through their higher non-physical self. They are allowing whatever minimal degree of physical reality they require to allow the manipulation of the physical universe to take place, but they are functioning from the will say about you. You think they will think you will be dingy.
I've already been told that.
All right.
That doesn't sit very well with me.
Why not? What do you care? You know you're not dingy, so what do you care what they say? They are giving you a gift, an opportunity to realize that you can look at that concept of being dingy and know that is not you. You can say, interesting concept. No, thank you. I am not dingy.
It's funny that some people have said that to me in the past, and say that to me are people who seem to be most attracted to me at the same time.
Yes, because they are.
Insulting.
Right. But in this way, they are fascinated with your ability to live in a dingy way.
Right.
Understand also that because of your polarity, many times the ideas you fear, you are attracted to. Because you know it is something that you can also do, and you are fascinated how someone else could possibly have done it. But you attack them and try to invalidate them because you fear, or they fear, that to really live that way will not be valid. So it is a dichotomy, it is a polarity, but all they are offering you is always both sides. Choose which one you prefer. You can simply say, well, I recognize that because you are attracting yourself to me, you are also exploring the possibility of living in this way, of believing these ideas. I know I am not dingy. Therefore, if you are willing, I will share with you my ideas. You don't have to like them. But in this way, recognize that I am not calling you dingy for living the way you are living. Why call me dingy for living the way I know I wish to live? Therefore, what you really wish to experience in terms of your non-physicality can be emotionally achieved in your life. You can feel that way if you begin to allow yourself to be valid as you are and allow that to be a valid way to live without taking to heart the judgments of others that you attract to yourself, only to show you that you do not have to accept the judgments. The idea that other individuals judge you is that you are judging yourself. And if you do not like it, you don't have to accept that. So they are providing you with an opportunity to see that you are simply judging yourself. And that is why you do not feel like you want to feel. Because you are not simply allowing yourself to know that you can exist in that way without being considered dingy.
I thought if I did in that way, that would be even me getting further away from accepting being here on Earth.
Not necessarily.
Okay, well, I just thought that.
All right.
I'm wrong once in a while.
Oh, you are not.
I know.
This is your way of getting there.
Also, I thought all my life, it seems all my life, I've had this fear of blindness.
All right, that is more of a direct past life connection.
Okay, because I thought I'd pretty much completed on that, and then it's come up again. Like when I went this accident and then feeling like hurt in my neck and my head was hurting, and then all this fear came up about.
All right.
Blindness.
Understand that many ideas that you attract into the present from the past that have symbolic representation of some of the things you are going to now experience for yourself will from time to time come up again because you are familiar with the pattern and you are giving yourself something to, I'll say, refer to.
I don't have to think that that's going to happen.
No. Now, it can be also a reflection of your belief about, as you have just expressed, the limitations of physical reality. You feel you are blind. You feel you are moving in the dark. Now, what about this suggestion as well, to assist you in the idea of knowing that you can live a physical life from a non-physical attitude? Why not create for yourself the attraction to the individuals who teach the idea you call out of body.
Sure. Why not?
Then, when you are out of your body, you will understand why you are in your body, and it will be all right. All right. Well, there are many methodologies open to you in your system at this time. Go and do them if that is what you want.
Another thing, that's, I guess this whole legal system of, like if I hold out and if I go to the doctor for medical treatment, that I can get more money possibly on this insurance claim. And on one hand, the attorney's trying to tell me, he's saying, look, you deserve to do this for yourself. And I was taking this attitude, it's like, well, that's taking advantage of the system or something. He was saying, well, wait a minute, this system is for you. It's created for you. There's no reason why you shouldn't go.
All right. In this particular case, either way, depending upon how you see yourself, will, in a sense, work for you. It may be an opportunity, once again, to recognize that some of the ideas in this way that you have created in physical reality can be valid for you, and allow you to relax within the ideas that are created in physical reality, knowing that they can work for you.
Yeah, because part of me is like angry at people who take advantage of the system, who make a living out of having accidents.
All right, but
okay.
you are not taking advantage of something
I know,
that is
and then
provided
there's a part
for
of
you.
me that is angry because they do get that money, and it's kind of like, well, I don't. There's part of me that feels like I don't deserve.
All right, very good.
That.
It is right up there in your consciousness, all of these things that you are exploring.
And, the idea of, tying myself up for 6 months and go to the doctor. But on the other hand, maybe who knows who I'm going to meet while I'm doing this.
This is true, too. And you can always change your mind.
Yeah.
And once again, simply you do not have to think that changing your mind is cause for anyone to think you are dingy. So what? Thank you. You first.
Thank you. Following up on what Mary was asking about, you said that with some individuals you sense when there's a shift in them in various ways.
Yes.
Would it serve our purposes for myself, for instance, to indicate shifts that I have undergone in the last several months to you for your use in communicating with me?
Oh, if you wish. It would be a lovely conversation.
Okay. Well, one of the things is that I have almost completely ceased to judge right, wrong, good, or bad.
All right.
I make evaluation of, thank you, evaluation of differences.
Okay.
Once in a while I catch myself looking at something right, wrong, good, or bad, and
Right.
I'm able to view it in such a way that I can catch myself and go, oh, it's not that way, it's different.
Thank you.
Also, I have almost completely ceased to expect, ceased expectation in my life. I'm allowing things to flow as they will and acting basically on my excitement.
Oh, very good.
And this comes to the next thing. Last week you mentioned that I asked my questions from the viewpoint of separation. And I had felt like I had been, to a great degree, not viewing myself as separate. I mean, certainly physically, my body is physically separate, but I do have the viewpoint that I am not separate from all that is, not different, not separate from any other individuals. And it surprised me that you said that I was asking from the viewpoint of separation. I don't feel that I am.
All right. Now, this was for two reasons. One is that in our perception, there was still a little bit of separation. And I'll say, as a reference for that, I will point out, now, again, we understand you use terminology from time to time. We may have different interpretation. But allow us to say, I perceive that the interpretation of this particular word will be much the same for you and I. And it will be, as you just said only moments ago, you did not believe that something that was said was valid in an overall sense. Everything is valid from whatever point of view it is valid to.
Okay, and I was aware that when I used the word valid, that it could be viewed as a statement that something was invalid in the sense of all it is. And I was aware that there is nothing that is invalid.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you.
But sometimes when we're in this plane, it's convenient to use terms which apply to the plane, but which, from a cosmic sense, really aren't applicable. I probably could have used the word applicable and made the point in a way that didn't bring up the idea of validity.
Right. Now, therefore, since you do have a physical language, and since the words do have certain meanings, in this way, one of the other reasons is that we simply sense that if you do, in your terms, take care in the selection of your words, your communication about what you really intend to say will be clearer. Thus, to our perception, we will find that the term in your language, invalidation, will have a negative connotation.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, simply, preference will be something without the judgment.
Yes, I understand that.
All right.
Well, your point is well taken about the choice of words. I'm interested in not taking a lot of time. I have a lot of words at my disposal, and when I come up with an idea, I don't necessarily immediately grasp the word that states it in the positive sense of the concept that I'm trying to communicate.
Right. Then our conversations act as practice for you to do so.
I've been practicing for a long time.
All right.
And I felt that I was able to relax in certain respects and use the term invalid without communicating the negative sense of the term.
No.
All right.
Because we will be utilizing, again, your terminology. And in this, the vibrations will be succinct.
Yeah. Well, we have so many definitions for a given word. Some words have a single, some words have many definitions.
Yes.
I'm wondering if that's part of the reason that this occurs.
Yes, it is a consolidation. And in this way, you will recognize that as you reform your languages, as you may even prefer to move out of vocal language at all, you will become more familiar with the expression of the concept in terms of matching the vibration of the concept to the word that may still exist within your language that would best suit it.
Yeah. Sometimes the connection of the word that's most positive in sense and less least separationist is a rare usage that we almost have to work on figuring out what word to use here, basically developing the terminology.
Yes.
And then realizing once we've got it, we can use this word in all these cases.
Yes, and this is why many times you will understand that when we activate the vocal mechanisms of the physical channel, many times it is not so much that we will choose a specific word, but we will choose words that may not intrinsically have the meaning, but we will use them in such a way that will, in your ears, perhaps not sound like normal conversation, but will get the point across.
Mm-hmm. Well, along this line then, since you are perceiving that I have this sense of separation because of the words that I use, if you were to take the viewpoint that when I use a word that implies a separationist viewpoint, it is not that I am in fact separated, it's just that I have not found the word to express the non-separationist viewpoint.
All right, and this is why, simply, we offer you a suggestion.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, you have the choice of going, oh, well, this guy is still separated, or else, and the alternate choice is going, oh, well, he used the separationist word, but he's not really separated. Let's work on a terminology.
All right, but you are also not here alone.
True, but this applies to everybody. I mean, this would be,
All right, but this idea is that it applies to everybody. And in this way, we are forming a consistency that will allow there to be less confusion in other individuals. If another individual says, well, now I understand the difference between invalidation and preference, why is Bashar not saying anything when he says invalidation?
Oh, I understand that, and I think it is valid to suggest a different term.
Only for the purpose of consistency.
Yes, I agree.
Not so much that the way you choose your words is right or wrong, or that we do not perceive what you are meaning, but in the terms of the consistency of the agreement of the mass consciousness, we are simply fulfilling the agreement in the broadest possible spectrum.
Of course, and using the word that has a positive connotation gets us thinking along the positive.
Yes.
I totally agree with that. I'm not suggesting that if I were to use a negative connotation word, that you would just bypass it.
Right.
I'm interested in developing the terminology for the most integrated viewpoint.
All right.
However, rather than hearing a word out of me that may seem separationist, and concluding that it's because I'm separated, you can conclude that I just hadn't developed the terminology to express it in an integrated fashion, suggest a word for me to use, and allow me to use that.
All right.
Instead of determining that Ken is separated.
All right.
Okay. This would be swell.
Thank you. Now, one moment. One of the other reasons for the methodology of the conversation between you and I was exactly for this as well. The idea of the conviction of the statement of your own clarification, which we now completely and in this way, in your terminology, totally accept from you. You follow me?
No, I missed something there.
All right. In other words, the opportunity to allow you to say what you have just said, to speak up for yourself if you felt you were getting a raw deal.
Yeah.
And that is what makes the most difference. Your willingness to stop sitting there and fuming and say, Bashar, that's not who I am. And then I can say, thank you, now I recognize you. So thank you, now I recognize you.
Well, thank you. It's interesting that I have recognized this myself for quite some time. I guess I presumed that you would sense it.
Thank you. But again, as we have said, in your physical world, the statement of conviction is when you speak it. Because we will assume, as you have created in your world, that your thoughts are private and do not reflect what you necessarily want to really let anyone know until you say, this is who I am. Then I can say, thank you! Now I will talk to you as if that is who you are. Because you have had the conviction to say so.
That's very interesting because in conversations with some people, it's been apparent that you do sense what's going on with them.
Because they have already made those statements in other ways. Perhaps many of you do not pick up on them, but we do.
Oh. So what that really does, getting back to what Mary was saying, really validates our creativity in using language on this planet in society.
Yes.
I mean, it's not something we should feel ashamed of.
Oh, no!
I mean, I never did. I love language.
We understand.
My stock and trade.
Thank you!
Thank you.
All right. You are next. Yes.
Okay. Now, this is my first time here, and I would like to ask some specific questions and also some general questions about how it's best to proceed.
Your own way is best.
Okay. The first question has to do with my physical status.
Yes.
I've been diagnosed with having a heart condition called six-sinus syndrome. Are you acquainted with what that is?
That terminology is not specifically within the memory of the channel. Define.
It's palpitations, irregularity of heartbeat.
How often does it, in your terms, act up?
It may act up every day for several hours. Sometimes it may go for a period of days without showing itself. Sometimes it may last for 12 to 16 hours.
Have you investigated what you call upon your planet the methodology or science of herbology? To find within that something which may be of benefit to your creation in that way.
Herbology. Yes, I had tried some herbs.
Which?
Ginseng.
What else?
And there's a particular preparation which involves ginseng and about 4 or 5 other preparations. They're Chinese herbs that I don't know the names of.
All right. And do you feel they have been of any assistance at all?
Nothing really has been of assistance noticeably different. I've tried many different approaches like acupuncture,
all right,
the electroacuoscope, the brain tuner. Are these things that you're familiar with?
Some, yes.
Okay. A system of, I guess there are special kinds of vitamins and minerals.
All right. Now, in your terminology, how long have you had this condition?
Several years.
How many?
One of the consequences, I don't know what is the consequence. I don't have a good grasp of time.
Is it just something that one day started, where it had not appeared before?
Gradually, I would say.
Gradually, all right. How have your medical practitioners proposed to deal with it?
Well, the first medical practitioners gave me some drugs, the digitalis.
Did that assist?
It stopped the palpitations, but it set up some side reactions.
All right.
So they gave me another drug to handle the side reactions. And I decided that was not the proper way to go.
Have you, in this way, made any comparisons between the effects of that particular drug and perhaps some herbs that are, I'll say in your terms, supposed to have the same effects without the side reactions?
Well, when I went to the acupuncturist, he gave me the herbal preparations. And
Only ginseng?
No, it was ginseng and about 4 or 5 others in that combination, and they came in one preparation.
Was comfrey in there?
No, I don't think so.
All right. How does it make you feel when it occurs?
Irritated. I'm irritated at my inability to focus clearly on other things that I'm doing. I feel tired, low energy.
May I ask you, when you first noticed these ideas, this effect coming into your life, what in your life was going on? What were you doing in your life?
Well, let's see. I'd say the main thing is I had a full, I'm a psychotherapist, very full practice, and I might have been working long hours. I was involved in doing what I considered some planet helping along the lines of making photovoltaic energy available cheaply, and
How?
using new methods to make photovoltaic cells.
All right.
I wasn't doing it directly, but I was assisting a company that was doing that.
What is your attitude toward the patients that you had as a psychotherapist?
I like working with them. I think they're great people.
All right. What have they taught you?
Many things.
Such as, name a few.
Okay. They've taught me about anger. And out of that, I have learned developed a system of anger that I call anger is a hot potato.
Which is?
Which means that...
Before you answer that, what is anger to you?
Anger is a combination of physiological response, which is the adrenaline response, and the story you tell yourself in the situation.
All right. Are you of the opinion that anger is positive or negative?
Neither one. It's a condition. It's a condition, and well, it depends upon how it's used.
Yes.
In our culture, anger is considered something that you have to find a good reason for. So our culture supports setting up right, wrong, blame, names.
Do you understand that in this way, natural anger only lasts about 10 to 15 seconds?
Are you referring to the adrenaline reaction?
More the mental attitude.
It depends on the story that you tell yourself.
Not really. Understand that anger, in and of itself, is only an aligning force. It aligns you with all you know yourself to be and puts you squarely on the path you know yourself to be with regard to everything else around you. After that time frame, everything else becomes judgment, not anger. You follow me?
No, I don't know what you're referring to when you say that the first. What is your anger? The first 15.
Approximately 10 to 15 of your seconds. Everything else after that is not a continuation of anger. It is the creation of judgment, separation, frustration, guilt, rage, hate, all the things that are not anger.
What is the first 15 seconds?
It is then, at that time, perhaps anger, which is only an aligning idea. In other words, it is your quote-unquote reaction to something that you see. The immediate angry reaction is simply something that aligns you to yourself. In other words, it lets you know where you stand with regard to what you have just witnessed or experienced. Then, from that point forward, there is no need for the anger any longer. Anything that is created after that you feel to be a negative reflection is no longer anger. It is judgment.
I call it stories you tell yourself.
All right. Yes, that is where they come in. But in this way, the anger itself is not a part. Actually, it is the prologue. It is not the stories, per se. Now, the stories are responsible for the type of reaction you give yourself, yes, but the anger itself as a natural emotion is only that energy which aligns you with what you know yourself to be, regardless of the stories you tell yourself.
Is that something other than the adrenaline reaction?
The adrenaline reaction can be connected to having the alignment. It gives you the rush that centers yourself. In this way, however, the anger is not a product of the stories. It is something that allows you to recognize the stories for what they are. Stories. The anger is not so much a product of the stories as it is your momentary aligning to let yourself know, wait a minute, I am reacting on this situation, making a comparison between myself and that because of the stories I have told. That is what the anger does. It allows you to know the stories are there. But the anger itself is not a product of the stories. It is your mechanism to align yourself so you know where you stand with regard to the experience that is in this way allowing you to create the stories.
So is this mechanism all physiological, or is it something beyond physiological?
It is beyond physiological. You will have a physiological reaction because your physiology cannot be separated from your spirituality. In this way, you will find that the adrenaline rush is your physiological reaction to the centering of the self. The adrenaline rush, in a sense, is what is experienced by many channels, many physical mediums when they begin to blend with the higher consciousness. They are centering themselves.
So is this centering, the blending with the higher consciousness?
Yes. And the anger is what allows you to pull back from the situation, align yourself with the higher consciousness, and take stock about what you think of the situation. Then, if you maintain what you think feels like anger, what you're actually doing is creating judgment.
Which is accompanied by more adrenaline.
Can be, yes. But in this way, the adrenaline is your physiological attempt to continue to align yourself. And when you allow the continuance of the adrenaline to occur, but refuse to relax and align, then you will be putting pressure on your physiological system, and it can break.
And are you suggesting there that that's what I'm doing, which is being signaled by the irregular heartbeats?
In a sense, you are cross-signaling yourself to some extent. It is not really, I'll say, a major thing, but to some extent you are giving yourself opposing signals.
Which are?
The idea of knowing who and what you are, but also, I'll say, getting fixated on the idea that you feel to be negative that showed you who and what you are. Reacting to it instead of simply acting like who and what you are. You continue to react as opposed to taking the anger for a signal that you can now simply begin to act as who and what you are, which may not have anything to do with that which caused the reaction. So you do not have to become fixated on that which you deem to be negative. And in this way, there is no need to judge it, no need to feel you are stuck in it, no need to feel that it is controlling you or forcing you to act a certain way. Simply that you have activated your aligning mechanism that you call anger and the adrenaline rush. And in this way, you can see that you do not have to fall into the pattern of feeling now that you must defend yourself against something, which is then what causes the continuance of the adrenaline. Because in your physiology, the adrenaline will also be there to align you in the idea that you have created that you call defense. But what the adrenaline, as a physiological symbol, is attempting to do is align you so that you know you do not have to think that you need defense. Are you following?
Partially. Maybe if I gave an example, and
all right.
You see your terms are, I don't have a reference.
All right.
Okay. I'm dealing with an event which happened when I was about 2 years old, which seems to be very influential right now in my life.
All right.
And that event was one day my father came home in the middle of the day and said, in a very cheery voice, who would like to go to the circus? And all three kids said, I do. And I was the youngest.
Yes.
My mother said, you have to take a nap first.
Yes.
So I very happily took my nap, and I woke up very eager to go to see my father and my two older kids walking down the front of the house.
Yes.
So I yelled out, "Hey, wait for me." And then my mother said to me, "You're too young to go."
You are expressing the idea of betrayal.
There were several different reactions that I have identified, but the one that's giving me a lot of trouble right now is a stance which I took, as if I crossed my arms in front of me and said, "From now on, nobody around here is going to have any fun until I get to go to the circus."
Including you.
It meaning it.
Yes.
Yes. And that went underground, and that attitude, and I just recently surfaced it.
All right.
And it seems to be very binding on me. I'm trying to find a way to get this little person who's made that decision to participate in doing something about it.
All right. Of course, you already do recognize that because it has service, it means you are dealing with it. And the recognition of the existence of that belief in your terminology is 99.9% of the idea having already been dealt with. Simply because you can recognize that it's there.
Well, I think of this little boy as being very angry.
All right.
And the way he's expressing his anger, not openly, but in a withdrawing sense. Taking a locked position.
All right.
Okay.
So you got your heart hurt.
Okay, now, can you say again in the terms that you were describing before about alignment? How is the anger manifesting in your terms?
What you are manifesting now is not anger, but it is judgment. It is the idea of frustration, of separation, of loss, of pain, none of which have anything to do with the idea we call anger. In this way, you are simply judging yourself. You are judging others around you for having created the idea of betrayal. And in this way, you are not allowing yourself the freedom to trust. The freedom to trust yourself, the freedom to trust others on a basic foundational sense. For you feel you can have something taken away from you. In this way, you have used the anger to align yourself to recognize that such a belief exists. But in this way also, you have continued the idea that now that you have recognized it, it is something that entraps you. The recognition of the idea in and of itself is a form of release from that belief system.
Yes.
What you have also is another belief system that you have educated into yourself, that the recognition of that belief system within yourself is not in and of itself a cure, and that now that you have recognized it, you must find some way to cure it. But we are saying that the recognition is the cure, if you allow it to be.
And by allowing, you mean?
To know that there is no reason to continue to feel hurt. In this way, to recognize that you gave yourself, even at that quote-unquote tender age, you gave yourself a co-created reality that you chose to act within, to give yourself the opportunity to explore all of these ideas of assistance, of allowing yourself to know with that particular idea that you would like to assist other individuals who had experienced the same hurts. You follow me?
Yes.
You utilized it very constructively in this way. Now all you have to do is simply recognize that that was the purpose for which you co-created that incident, so that you could use it as a positive tool and allow yourself to lighten up on yourself and know that you do not have to feel hurt by it anymore because you know it served your purpose in a positive way now that you are an adult.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One moment.
Break.
Almost. Have you, as you speak to your patients, have you spoken to the portions of your own personality, such as the child within you?
Yes, I have. I've attempted it. It's very difficult because the little boy says, I asked him, what does he want? What will make him feel better?
Yes.
And he says, I'm not going to tell you.
Well, now, is it not obvious what would make him feel better? Why not take him to the circus? Allow your life to be the circus and invite him. As a matter of fact, give him a box seat. Thank you. You may all take a short break. All right, I'll say, sharing.
Bashar.
Yes.
I got a few things here that I wrote down, so I won't forget. I wanted to say that I've always liked talking to people from other countries or seeing things from other countries because sometimes maybe the way you do it maybe the way I do something, the way I'm from, we always do things a certain way.
Yes.
And then you see someone does it different and say, oh, it can be done a different way.
Very good, yes.
So I want to tell you that's kind of how I think of you, is like somebody from a different country. So sometimes when I ask questions like about the way you do things, I don't want you to think it's because I think mine's necessarily not good or whatever. I like to kind of compare notes.
All right.
And I was wondering if you could give me like a brief idea of like what a typical day would be for you, like the kind of activities you do.
All right. Thank you. I will. In this way. Do you mean in the ship?
Well, just like when you get up, like things you do in the ship, then you go to the park, you eat dinner, you go to a movie, just like, like...
Can be similar to those ideas, yes. In this way, you would experience it as a random series of seemingly unconnected events, but I will always find that all the individuals that are required to be wherever I am and interact with me will always be there when I get there. Therefore, I will be involved, and we will be involved in the activities of forming what you would call the idea of networking with other civilizations. This will encompass a great part of what you call my day.
Yeah.
The idea of forming connections, and in this way allowing to, I'll say, civilizations the opportunity to reflect all the ideas that you are experiencing with us in this way and many others. I, in this way, will connect up to other channels on other planets as well as your own. And this also will occupy a great portion of what you call my day.
So you spend a lot of time in a cubicle, then? Are you saying? In terms of our time?
Yes, in a sense. Though I will not notice the passage in that way.
No, but nevertheless, the day is gone.
Yes.
You come out and the day is gone.
Yes.
Do you spend, the channel spends maybe 3 hours a day, if you will, channeling most of the time, if he does that in a day. What would be comparable?
It will fluctuate. You may understand it sometimes to be a quarter, sometimes a half. It has been as much in your terms as 3/4 of my day.
At a set, or do you take a break, or?
Understand in this way that when we take break, it will simply be going into the center of the self and accelerating to the next moment of conversation.
What about the people on that society? Do you have marriages like we have?
The entire society considers itself to be married to everyone in it.
Okay. Those who are on that society and not on the spaceship, what is their day like?
Again, can be involved in many different ideas similar to that. However, you will find that it will simply be the creation of many ideas, artifacts, art forms in this way, expressions of themselves, explorations within themselves relating to the planet itself, relating to different forms of consciousness, playing with themselves, playing with the children playing with themselves, playing with the adults. Many different ideas in this way. Enjoying the beauty of the world. Creating interactions with other beings in play. Many different ideas.
Do you have any animals?
Oh, yes.
Do you eat? Do you have food?
Rarely do we consume in a physiological manner. And it will be usually of what you call the vegetable variety, raw, simple. There will be one particular type which is not so much synthetic, but it is not natural to the planet, which is created out of our own mentality that will sustain us in every way that we need to be sustained.
Oh. What kinds of animals do you have?
Many different types.
Do they resemble ours at all?
Similar in some ways, some not so similar. but similar in an overall sense. Although, we will find we will not, in terms of what you call your land animals, have anything quite so large as some of the ones that you do, such as what you call the elephant.
Do they act as your guides, just like our animals?
Oh, yes, but we share in this way consciously. We understand the reflection and their vibration in connection to the planet, and simply partake in it as an overall part of the consciousness that we are in our civilization.
When you die, somebody asked you last week, you said you just lie down and leave.
Yes.
How do you determine it's time to die?
You know.
Okay, then where do you go?
Into the idea of the non-physical realms.
Yeah. Is that...
In the same place you go.
Oh, okay, that was my next question.
Where's that?
It is not really anywhere, but you understand the idea you call out of the body?
Yes.
Then in those levels, and many others.
What do you occupy?
You mean in the non-physical state?
Yes.
We have some degree of the different ideas that you experience as what you call astral or etheric or mental or causal forms. But in this way, also recognize that we know, even in the physiological state, that those are only conveniences of perception. Even in the physiological state, you are not, quote-unquote, really occupying anything.
Yeah.
You follow me? Your body, though you create the idea that you occupy or inhabit it, in a fundamental form, actually your body is your spirit in physical form. Surely!
After we die... Oh,
you are next.
One more question about the same idea. After we die and after you die, let's say we die at the same time, would we communicate? Since we're all part of the triad, would we be...
You can, you do not have to. Depend on when you are focused.
Oh, okay.
You can communicate that way, physiologically as well.
That's true. I have a question, just a very quick one. Are you at all aware of all the conversations I hold with myself, my head with you?
Not all of them. Because some of them will be created with versions of yourself that you cloak in my symbology.
All right, that's why I'm asking. I was curious, but some of them you're aware of?
Some. Mostly, however, we will only, in a sense, be aware of them from time to time as we are holding conversation directly with you. In this way, we are on other levels overall aware, as you are overall aware, and sometimes we can tap into that when we wish to. But to consciously be in touch with all of that would simply not allow us to function.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes, I have questions about three things. The first is about the extraterrestrials that I spoke to you about the first time I ever saw you.
All right.
I had a real good healing this weekend, and the psychic who was doing the healing saw them come to help me.
All right.
I perceived it as a purple color, and so I want to know if you can tell in me who these people are and that are trying to get into me.
Trying to get into you?
Well, I feel that I'm just not allowing this contact. I feel that the contact is coming.
All right.
And it's all around me, and I'm playing it.
All right.
Allowing myself to do this, and it's a gradual process.
What do you imagine would occur if you were to allow what in your terminology would be full communication?
Perhaps to see them again as outlines of people. The time that I saw them, that I turned them away, they looked very much like these people in the back in this picture, and that they were a white outline.
All right.
Of three people.
All right. Now, you will find that this will be a common experience in your projected astral states. You will perceive sometimes extraterrestrial consciousness in that way, as outlines.
Mm-hmm. I also may hear them. I have
yes.
heard a very strong voice at certain times but I haven't been able to relate to it more than that. I've heard it, and then I, of course, thought, well, that must be my own thinking. But now that I know what I know, I realize that those voices were not my thinking. They were something else.
All right. But again, what do you imagine if you were in full contact you would do?
Have them like friends, like...
They are friends.
Have them sit in my chairs.
Why?
I don't know. I have friends that have guides that do that.
All right. Now, what do you think if you had them in that way as friends in the way you want to? What would you do in your life differently than what you are doing now? How would it change you?
I wouldn't feel so alone.
So alone? So alone. How can you be alone when you are surrounded with eternity and your friends? Any other way it might come to you, even knowing that the way it is coming to you might actually be serving your purpose, the purpose you chose?
Oh, yes, that's definitely possible.
All right. Then if you know you are connected in the way you need to be connected, you are not alone. You are being aided by your friends in exactly the manner that will serve you best. So why not enjoy that idea in the way you have formed the connection and allow it to proceed along its own path?
I guess I just needed some reassurance that it was really happening.
What is it when you say something is really happening? Yes, I know we are getting esoteric. What is it?
I don't know, that's a tough one, because in my mind, things are always really happening, and they have always been really happening.
Very good.
And that has been contradicted by earthly material experience.
Oh, not really.
Enough to shake me. And now I understand that it was real, and things that have happened are real.
All right.
And so I'm...
and now what?
I just feel like I'm not standing on really solid ground.
All right.
I feel unsure a lot of the time, and...
unsure of what?
I guess whether it's real or not.
All right, assume it is real. Now what?
Oh, okay. Then how can I... what can I do to...
Assume it is real.
Assume it is real.
How would you act if it were real? Beyond a shadow of a doubt, if you knew it was real, how would you act?
With purpose. I feel that I would know what to do.
Very good.
That they would give me some clues.
Why do they have to give you some clues? If you know it is real, why do you need clues?
Good point.
Why not simply act as if you really know it is real and create all the clues in your physical reality so that you can see them?
How would I do that?
By acting as if you know it's real.
Okay.
By taking it for granted that the method in which it is real is the way that best serves your purpose at this time. And get on with your life.
Okay.
Do not wait for them. Do not let them wait for you. You are all just then standing around waiting.
True.
Keep living. By moving forward in your own consciousness, will you intersect the event of the meeting.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Bashar?
You, then you.
Okay. I've had a few people in my life that, and I realize this is a lesson for me, and I feel like enough already now. I don't want to be around people that like to do this, and that's the people that tend to will say something to me so that I react in a particular way emotionally, and then they turn around and say, well, why are you reacting? It's only words. Why are you, and
really bothers me, because, and it bothers me with relish, and I love that it does, because...
Does it bother you with mustard?
Yeah. Because I think emotions and reactions are beautiful things, and when I see a person react, even if someone hates something, if they say, God, I hate mustard or something, I get off on their enthusiasm over the hate. Okay, my reactions sometimes are very animated to things, and I enjoy them. And
then perhaps they are not reactions, but actions. And what you resent is the idea that people think you are reacting.
Especially when these people seem kind of dull as far as their... dull as far as their emotion, as far as that expression of the emotion. It's like they're more like such an even keel that it's kind of... I don't really think they're on such an even keel. Sometimes I question whether they're really expressing themselves totally. But anyway, it's something that really bothers me.
All right.
Because I enjoy that emotion. I was just a little boy last night. Let's see, he was about maybe 10 years old or something. He was talking with excitement about killing people.
All right.
I mean, about all these games that are, the warriors and the this and the that and the mafia. And he was into it. Now, this isn't something that I'm into.
All right.
Yet I enjoyed his enthusiasm. He was so... Some people are just so middle of the road that they're not...
I believe your term is wishy-washy.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not so much that there's that pure...
You feel they lack conviction.
Yeah, that's it.
Because you can tell the difference when someone is balanced rather than apathetic.
Yeah.
Follow me?
Yeah. Or some people find it fashionable to be non-emotional. Their idea of what it is to be balanced is to not react to anything. Someone...
Understand, therefore, you can know that a balanced individual, while not always expressing emotionality in the same way, will usually always act upon the ideas they create. And thus, in their movement and energy, it is very emotional. Emotion, energy, motion.
And they won't necessarily have to be so concerned about my reaction.
Very good.
They don't have to say, why are you reacting?
In the same way...
Enjoy my reaction.
Yes. In the same way, you do not have to be concerned about those individuals who say, why are you reacting this way?
I'm sharing this because I really want to get that, clear with myself. I like that you said that's action instead of reaction.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
One moment. Yes?
Bashar, in the last year I have had a lot of physical illnesses, and I would like to know if I'm doing it to myself and why.
Of course you are doing it to yourself. There is no other way to do it. Now, basically why is because, once again, many of you are now going through an unlocking process, and some of the ways you do this, when you allow yourself to know you are changing from an old you to a new you, a lower vibration to a higher vibration, as you make a comparison between the two vibrations, you then create a third identity, which is the friction between the two rates, and friction felt physically sometimes becomes dis-ease or pain. When you acclimate to the vibration of your future self and allow it to be in the present, when you intermesh all your gears, they will not grind.
Will that happen soon?
In a sense. All you need to do is keep on living. Now understand, each and every one of you chose to be in this life at this transformational time, and you chose to do it with everyone else. Therefore, you are going to abide by the methodology that will be of best service for everyone. You do not have to suffer in the meantime. All you have to do in this way is simply know that you are the reality you wish to be and act like it. Let your future self be the present you. Act as if you already knew yourself to be complete. You follow me?
Yes.
And once again, relax.
And enjoy.
Yes. Everything that you give yourself is an opportunity to view another portion of yourself. When you look at it that way, It will not create a negative physical manifestation to remind you of what you are refusing to look at, because you think it is not a valid thing to look at, because you think it is an interruption in your life instead of a part of the path you chose to live. The second, many times, that you allow what you give yourself in your physical reality to be a valid representation of something you do want to explore, then the nagging negative aspect of the symbol will disappear, and all you will be left with is the positive ramification. It will not have to nag you to get you to look at it. Follow me?
No.
Dis-ease, pain, nag, nag, nag. Treat what you are giving yourself as valid, the pain says. Oh, trying to turn away from looking at that portion of yourself? Well, how about this? Jab, jab, jab. Look over here. Pay attention. This is where you are focusing. Pain, pain, pain. Remind, remind, remind. You follow me?
Got it.
Thank you.
How do you stop yourself from doing that?
By allowing yourself to trust that it is all right to experience anything in your life and know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that you know what you are doing by doing so, and you can trust that the outcome will always be positive. Therefore, you will not fear to be vulnerable, because in total vulnerability will be complete and total strength.
How come it always sounds easier said than done?
Because this is a habit. That is why.
Well, I'm having a real hard time to break it.
That is also a belief.
You're confusing me with that.
Thank you. One moment. I am also having a hard time breaking it. We have now heard a statement that many of you equate with the laws of physics. As if it were made out of granite. I am having a hard time. In the saying of it, you are creating the difficulty. You are reinforcing the idea that you are a person who has difficulty doing it. You are making a statement about what you believe about yourself. I am a person who has difficulty understanding this.
What's another way to go about it then?
I understand it. On whatever level I need to. Then I will allow my physical reality to reflect that to me. You follow me? Create a new habit. We are not saying to ignore the idea that you know you are viewing something in your life. We are not saying to turn away from it. Mm-hmm. But deal with it by creating a new habit in terms of knowing that everything that you create is going to serve you somehow. Because everything is contained within you. You are the creator. There is no outside to the universe. It is all within you. Therefore, everything in your life is a product of something within you. Trust that you know what you are doing. You are always safe within yourself, and you can't be anywhere else.
That's to say everything has a happy ending, ultimately?
Everything is in and of itself a happy event. Not that you need to look for an ending, because there never will be one.
Well, when you have a loss of something that's very close to you or dear to you, I don't see how one can look at that as a happy event.
Thank you. First of all, understand that even your terminology that something can be lost is a product of your habit of separation. Mm-hmm. You are everything. Everything is within you. How can you lose something within yourself? You are always connected, no matter what the physiological side effect may look like. You follow me?
Yes.
Now, if you know that a relationship once created always continues, no matter how you define the players, no matter where they are, even if they never see each other again physically, that is still the definition of the relationship you have. Everything is in and of itself connected to everything else and is everything else. It is up to you to choose to look at something as a loss. If you choose to know that you have not lost anything, You will allow your sensitivities to expand to the point where you will be aware that you are still in touch with it. And then you will listen.
Okay, I agree with everything you're saying, and I still repeat, it's easier said than done.
Why do you choose that belief? That it is easier said than done. You see, everything is a belief in this physical reality. Everything is a belief. You are simply now saying that you are basing one belief's reality and need to continue upon something no more substantial than another belief. Everything is a belief.
Sometimes it feels like it goes beyond belief. It just is an emotional thing that happens.
All right, but that is simply the product of the habitual ritual, which you are changing. You will change it.
Okay. Sure.
One moment. One methodology which may work for some individuals if you allow your imagination to alter it as you want to suit yourself in the process, and not necessarily simply take me verbatim and unchanging, is to simply begin to act like you are the being you want to be. If you are willing to have the conviction to act like it, because then you are making a physiological statement of conviction, your physical reality will have to change to reflect it. Because your physical reality is only a reflection of what you know yourself to be, of what you believe about yourself.
That makes sense.
Therefore, you have but only to act like the person you think you ultimately want to be in the future now. Why keep that person who has everything together out there in the future? Oh, someday I'll be that person who has everything together. Why not simply assume you are that person now and start acting like it?
Well, sometimes I feel like I am that person.
All right.
I am together, but
All
that
right.
doesn't necessarily mean that everything happens the way
One
I want it to
moment,
happen.
one moment. When you are acting like that person, all things work for you. When things do not work for you, it has nothing to do with having acted like the person who was together. It is because you have now made a choice for whatever reason to act like a person who does not have everything together.
Okay, why do I feel like I'm not aware of those choices consciously?
How do you know that you have the ability to be aware of them consciously?
Because there are many things that I do that I am aware of consciously, and there are things that, in essence, I've heard many times that people say, or yourself say, that we create everything that happens to us.
All right, thank you.
Well,
the answer to your question is because you are still assuming, based on yet another belief, that you need to continue to create separations between the idea of an outer conscious awareness and unconsciousness and the subconsciousness.
Okay.
Once you begin to look at yourself as one consciousness, you will begin to consciously see how everything fits within it and how you can know everything you need to do.
Well, is there a way to go about doing this?
There are many different methodologies.
Okay.
I have given you one in simply suggesting that you act like you already know.
Okay, that's a good
Now,
one.
if this will not suit you, allow me to ask you before I proceed, use your imagination. Since your imagination is the tool specifically designed to resonate to your specific frequency to give you whatever methods you require to achieve anything you want to achieve, why not trust that your imagination can design for you a specific ready-made tool, visualization technique, meditation, or whatever you wish, that will represent what will get you there? I will tell you why you don't, because you don't trust the imagination to be able to do that. Now, do you think you can trust the imagination to be able to do that?
Well, I feel that I'm very good at imagining
All right.
the positive and how I would like things to turn out.
One moment. Now, understand how I would like things to turn out. All right. Understand the separation in there. Recognize simply, we are not saying that you have to have a visualization and put the expectation that the result has to come exactly as you have seen it. If you trust that whatever visualization symbols you are creating in your imagination represent in a general sense the fact that you will only attract whatever will serve you, it will not matter whether or not it comes exactly as you saw it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Trust that the imagination works on many levels above and beyond those symbols you are used to using in your physical universe. It will know what to bring you, whether you use symbols that represent exactly what you need or not. The act of knowing and trusting that that is what your imagination is doing, regardless of what the symbols are that you are using to represent that action, the trust itself is what will make it work.
You're right.
Then, your physical reality will create, sometimes exactly, sometimes not, all the physical objects and symbols and relationships and situations and occurrences and events that will represent that knowingness, and when you see them, you will know them.
Is that a form of what we call here psycho-cybernetics?
Oh, in a sense. Can be, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bashar.
You, then you.
Let me.
Oh, all right.
Thank you. I'm Naomi. I'm a newcomer. And I've heard the term, and I've seen written on paper, that we're in transformation from third to fourth dimension, and I'd like you to expound upon that so I better understand.
Thank you. 'Tis very simple. I will keep it very brief. You understand that everything in physical reality is a product of vibration of energy, yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Third density vibration represents a certain state of matter energy. Fourth density vibration represents another state. Now, you consider the idea in your terminology to be that third density is a lower vibration, fourth density is a more accelerated, higher vibration. In this way, what is actually occurring is that you already exist on every level that can possibly exist now. The idea of your progress, so to speak, is becoming aware of more of yourself. As you become aware of more of yourself, you can say that you have collected more of yourself together in a conscious manner. You have made yourself more dense. You have given yourself more energy. Energy being matter, matter having density. In this way, a density, a compactness of energy. You are pulling more of yourself into action, into activity around you. And in this way, the higher density, you will be more dense, but because it is more energy, it will accelerate faster, so it will seem less dense physically. Will this have clarified the idea?
Yes, and
Integration is what is causing you to move into fourth density, allowing yourself to be more aware of more of yourself. Third density can only handle so much awareness. When you have a level of awareness of yourself beyond that, you go to the appropriate level of dimensionality, of rarefication, of the vibration of the fundamental basic foundation energy of creation that can handle that level of awareness of yourself. So you move through the densities, becoming less and less physical, but more and more dense. You follow me?
I understand it. I understand that in a personal sense. I'm looking at the world around me.
Yes.
Also, I'm seeing an overall change.
Yes.
Some people call it new age.
Yes. And this is a reflection that each of you are changing yourselves. So you can now perceive all the other individuals who also are beginning to perceive themselves on that level as well.
Is there a general acceleration happening at this time?
Obviously.
Has it been always, just less of us are able to see it? We're able to see it?
To a certain degree, it has always been, but for the past 25,000 of your years approximately, you have been exploring all the ideas of separation and not really consciously being aware of the idea of the acceleration toward a time in your history now where you would begin to explore the idea of integration as you are now doing. Simply recognize in this way that because you are integrated, you need less time in which to experience that idea. When you are separated, you create more time, so the cycle of separation is going to last longer than the cycle of integration. This is why you are seeing such an acceleration in the general consciousness now, because once you begin to accelerate, it happens very quickly for everyone. You follow me?
Yeah.
Will this have answered your question?
Yes.
You have another.
As I become more aware of things on a conscious level and not so much on the material plane, there are two things that happen. There's one, an awareness that's still attached to what's happening physically.
Of course,
in the world state.
because you are physical. Don't deny the idea that physicality is less than spirituality. They are equal in their own terms.
Yes, I understand.
All right.
I have a sense of hope as to the
Hope?
general direction.
Hope. Why do you need hope? Hope implies despair.
Because there has been a fear of destruction.
All right, very good. That is why you are creating despair and thus needing hope.
Right. However, I have more of a sense of hope these days than feeling in despair. Maybe that's because I still feel despair. I need to feel hope. Okay, I understand.
Thank you.
What I'm asking is it necessary for us to go through a physical destruction?
No. Because of your integration, you now are beginning to realize that you do not have to give yourselves an overall, all-consuming trial by fire in order to know you deserve happiness. This is one of the benefits of integration.
So then it's a matter of just trusting that this will be.
Yes. There will be some pockets of individuals upon your planet who will choose to view it in that way and will experience their catastrophes and their destructions. But we perceive in the energy field of your mass consciousness at this time, it will be quite localized. And any events that will occur in an overall global sense will be minimal. You follow me?
Yes.
Thank you!
Thank you.
Has the integration already occurred?
You are in the middle of it.
Can you describe where it's going, what shape it is?
You will understand as you integrate the blending of your consciousness levels that you will begin to perceive much more of yourself, even in the physicality that you give yourself. In other words, you will see energy fields of yourself. You will know yourself as energy. You will hear and see and communicate with other density levels of energy in this way. You will not separate the portions of your consciousness. You will recognize how you have the ability in this way to manipulate matter directly with your mind. You will understand that you are an integrated being. You will be comfortable both in and out of your physical form in this way. And bit by bit, you will find that you no longer need your physical form. You follow me?
Yes.
You will see yourselves glowing. You will see auric fields. You will unite within yourselves in the idea of being a world of peace and harmony, which will allow you to explore all the other worlds of peace and harmony, to which you will then allow yourselves to be equal.
Will there still be a connection to Earth?
In a sense, yes, there always will be, to some degree. But understand in this way that in a physiological state, as we perceive your energy now, the majority of individuals upon your planet at this time will no longer, in a couple of your thousands of years, need to reincarnate in the Earth cycle experience. You follow me? You will move on. And other beings can use the focal point of the energy of the Earth to go through their symbolic ideas of separation and integration and all these other ideas.
Taxes and all that.
Sometimes. Yes?
Yes. Also, another time when I saw you, we talked about a past life. And I had only had partially revealed, and you were not able to get a reading on who I was and what the name was because the process had only partially been revealed.
Describe now what you already know.
Okay, I know that it was in Spain, and I know that it was the soldiers being sent out, and I was responsible for them to be sent out. You told me that they were on their way to kill the Moors.
All right.
And I've been trying to figure out who I was.
All right. Now, our perception at this time, again, allow me to illuminate. There are fluctuations in your terminology with the idea of accuracy of this vibrational name. It may change with your extent and expansion of the discovery of yourself. At this time, we perceive that what will act as a focus for you to begin this exploration will be the name Mariana.
Okay. Do you know what year this took place?
Now, there is some cross-reference as we perceive a number of different ideas of incarnation of that type of energy in that type of locale with similar purposes. And in this way, they are very blended. We perceive the idea you call 1290. We also perceive the idea you call approximately 1740. And that'll do.
Okay. Thank you. And one more question then about personal health. I feel that I need some balancing with my digestion, possibly. Do you have any...
Is that a question?
Yes.
You're not sure.
I need some help with my digestion.
Have you, in your way, attempted the methodology you call fasting?
No, not recently, not for many years.
Why not give it a shot?
Okay.
Why not clean yourself out?
Okay.
Then reintroduce the things that speak into your body. If you feel the need in the fast, stick with the juices that are clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bashar.
One moment. Yes, you're next.
Thank you for recognizing me on our last conversation. And since you seem to enjoy my revealing portions of myself to you, I thought I'd give you some more.
Oh, thank you!
First of all, if I had known that just verbalizing it to you, would create a difference in your perception of me, I would have done it months ago.
But you did not.
I did not. I didn't realize that you didn't perceive it on the other levels. I was actually operating on a misconception that, well, obviously it was a proper conception in some way. However, had you specifically stated that, or had I somehow gotten that up early, I would have said, oh, well, I can do this right now, because
yes.
I could have.
Yes.
At that point...
It was not, however, our place to tell you.
Yeah, I guess, I just didn't realize that.
Oh,
right. I didn't get it from the conversations. I got that you could pick it up some way. Anyway, one of the ways that I know that you thought you perceived separation is that I use the term philosophy. And indeed, many, many people use philosophy to separate themselves. They look at, they think about life and they, well, but it's not themselves. Whereas myself and some other people with whom I'm speaking use philosophy to apply to their life, and that's the way I use philosophy. It becomes a part of me.
Yes, and now you have just told me where that comes from. It is connected to a past life in which you were a priest.
Why were you laughing?
Because in this way, the obvious reflection of the conviction of the statement of not knowing something, and now allowing the self to know it without our interference in aiding him to discover it, now makes him, to us, more open in communication on different levels. And so he has just projected in the statement of the idea of philosophy more than just the words, but the entire picture of some of the connections to other lives and other aspects of dimensionality from which it is connected in this life. Thus the conversation becomes holographic rather than simply linear.
So this statement...
Very exciting! Thank you.
So this statement that I applied the philosophy to my life is what triggered this. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And we immediately perceived the energy of your incarnation as the priest.
Yeah. It's wild. I love it. Well, it's very exciting to me to apply philosophical things to my life. I do it very, very rapidly. I hear it and I can go, boom, this is now what I'm doing. This is now how I'm going to operate my life.
Yes.
And put it immediately to work. It's wonderful.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Yes. I came up with something using your rest.
Oh, thank you. How lovely.
Yes. And it's quite delightful to not judge that and just really enjoy just kicking back.
Oh, thank you.
Also, the idea of so what is very, very entertaining.
Oh, thank you.
In that it's a good technology for not using the habit of judging. Whereas we would have judged something, some action or something that has occurred to us, whatever. And that would be the habit, just saying, so what, and really meaning it, really knowing that so what is correct, helps us to break that habit. And also knowing that at a higher level, we are crafting our life exactly as we want it, means that regardless of what happens, I am able to really, really enjoy it. I mean, some things I get pissed off at or I dislike, but I know that the emotion of getting pissed off or frustrated or whatever is part of the lesson, part of the experience that I'm crafting for myself, and it's perfect.
Thank you, Kenneth.
Thanks.
Thank you, Gabriella. Your female side.
We'll call you Gabriella.
Oh, please.
Thank you for allowing myself to be of service to you in this way. I love you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. I love you very much. And I have for some time. I have felt equal to you for some time, and I thank you very much.
Yes?
Bashar, I have two personal questions that I'd like to ask you. Am I allowed to ask these kinds of personal questions in this group? It's only my second time.
Well, I don't know. Let me see. Are you allowed to ask a personal question? Well, that might be considered by some to be a personal question.
Then do I get two more then?
Oh, all right.
Okay.
It's all right through that one.
Thank you, Bashar. I am in a relationship with a man named Dwayne, whom I have been told I have been involved in a past life.
All right.
And
Several, probably.
That I would like to know if you were able to tell me. And I think my primary concern is what is the purpose of our relationship now.
What do you feel you are learning from the relationship?
Maybe the price of fame.
Price? The price of fame. What do you feel you have had to pay?
Maybe that was the wrong word.
Not wrong.
You're asking me what I'm to learn from him.
What are you learning? What have you learned about yourself?
That I definitely want the rewards for my labor, for one thing, and I think the other thing is
do you feel that you now deserve them?
I felt I have for a while, but
all right.
Definitely. I also feel that I'm learning a great deal about masculine energy from him.
All right.
But my concern is what I can teach him.
What about feminine energy?
I do teach him that. I'm wondering if it's more, if we have more than that.
Why do you need more than that?
I don't know. I feel that I feel the nature of the relationship demands more.
Demands? Why should a relationship demand? Think about it.
Okay.
Maybe if you redefine the idea of a relationship, you will find you are getting exactly what you need. All of it.
Okay. I'll take that.
All right.
My other question is also about a relationship which is totally different, and this is with a young man named Royce.
Yes.
And I'm curious about the nature and purpose of that relationship.
Can you not apply the same question to that? What is the relationship doing for you? Allow your physical reality to be an obvious reflection of what you are choosing to explore at any given moment. That is what it is there for.
This young man has a great interest in the future and other planets, and I was hoping in some way to guide him to that. Do you have any advice?
To guide him to that? How about simply sharing the ride? Why do you feel you have to lead anyone anywhere?
Okay, good point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, specifically, we are allowed to say Royce will be making connections to other beings with whom he has been in contact in his dream state for quite some time and has had other lives with. This we are allowed to say. Go along for the ride. But understand that you are taking yourself there as well. He is not leading you. You are not leading him. You are sharing. Do you follow?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What do you imagine you will find along this ride?
I think I might find something very different than he might.
All right, very good.
And
But still something you can share.
yes, I will.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Royce, by the way.
Great.
What do you think?
I don't know, I just kind of take things as they come.
Do you act upon them when they do?
Sometimes.
All right.
Act awfully bizarre.
Bizarre?
Yeah.
Such as? For instance?
Like I am on another planet somewhere.
Well, I am, and I do not think it is bizarre. 'Tis quite natural.
I don't know, I guess I'm kind of skeptical.
All right.
I'm a skeptical person.
Oh, all right, if you say so.
Sinister. I believe in astrology.
Sinister?
I believe in astrology.
So? What do you mean by that? I believe in astrology. What does that mean?
That means that I sense that astrology is the energy that helps us guide ourselves.
All right. Pretty good. In this way, recognize it is, although it is somewhat limited in your vocabulary and your terminology, it is a reflection of the energy patterns that do represent the agreements that you have made as a mass consciousness. Yes. This is what you are following, the terms of your contract.
Oh.
You follow me?
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that.
All right.
All of you. I understand that.
All right. Understand in this way, or allow me to ask you, do you believe that you create your own reality?
I believe that energy takes us on a set course.
In an extent, yes, and in another, no. There is both free will and predetermination. They are coinciding quite comfortably. One does not exclude the other. In this way, your higher self has determined some of the ideas in the contract that you will experience in physical life. Some of the methodologies as to how you experience them is up to your freedom of choice as a physical consciousness. But experience them, yes, you will. And this is what you are reading in the astrological charts, is simply the overall consciousness energy agreements of the overall events that you will explore in the life. How you explore them is up to you. Whether they take a long time, a short time, whether you do them positively, negatively, that is up to you. But explore them you will, yes. But recognize it is still not so much the idea of an overall predestination, but simply that your higher non-physical self has made those choices. So what seems to your physical personality to be predestination, to your higher consciousness is its own freedom of choice. It only seems like predestination to your physical personality because your physical personality is not who and what you are. Your physical personality is an artificial construct. It is a tool of your consciousness, created for the express purpose of living out physically that event that your higher consciousness has ordained you will experience. Thus you have both predetermination and freedom of choice. and even the predetermination from one point of view is freedom of choice. Thus, in that sense, you create your entire reality. Follow that along?
I suppose. I get about half that.
All right.
50%.
Sleep on it.
I don't know. When I'm out, I'm out.
Yes, that's the point. You are then your higher consciousness, and your higher consciousness knows what I am saying.
Sleep at all.
All right. So what? There are times when I do not either.
So what you're saying to me is sleep on it, but what if I don't sleep on it for the next 3 days?
When I said sleep on it, I meant in whatever way you do it, because what we know will be happening is that when you undertake the overall event, whether you are physiologically asleep or not, you are in contact with your higher self, which knows what I am saying.
But the subconscious is the higher connecting.
No.
Sleep is not subconscious.
Outer aware consciousness, unconsciousness, and subconsciousness are all aspects of the physiological personality construct. Your knowing consciousness, the higher self, is something quite different. Although it does filter through the prism of your personality and break down into the vibrations, the spectrum of sub, un, and outer aware consciousness. All your consciousness is a reflection of your higher consciousness, not just the subconsciousness, not just the unconsciousness, not just the outer aware consciousness. All of them. But only because of the reality you have created upon your planet do you see a distinction between those three kinds of consciousness. You are now beginning to integrate to the point where you recognize you are simply one consciousness and can be in communication with everything on every level of every conscious level you create. Thus, in this way, you are simply following your own path, the path that you are. And again, a path is not really something that you are on. A path is what you are. The basic foundational purpose to anyone's life is to simply be who and what you are, because it is a unique expression of the facet of the multifaceted crystal of all that is. And the purpose in having this life is to simply be this life. To experience yourself in this way, a fragment, a facet of your own oversoul consciousness, and to know yourself in all of the myriad ways that you can, simply because you can, simply because you are all that is, and every individual, all individuals are simply all the different ways that all that it has of looking at itself. Thank you, Royce, for your sharing and your willingness to be the path you have chosen to be.
Bashar?
You! Then you!
Was that first you, me?
You, me, yes, you.
It was a number of months ago, I thought of these terms. I call, for me, what I would call like what I completed, kind of a cycle. I just completed, most of my life, and then up until recently, I called it the age of enforce.
All right.
Now I call it like the age of trust, where before there was a lot of force in making sure people do things, because you didn't trust that they could do things themselves and take care of themselves, right?
Yes, because you did not trust those portions of yourself.
Right. And to me it's like, I thought a lot of this was over, but sometimes I see a lot of it in the world now, what I would still call kind of enforced, like this thing where, I don't know a whole lot about it, but like where I don't know who it is, some legal body, whatever, wants to make it mandatory to wear a safety belt, in your car, and if they catch you with that one, you get a ticket or something like that. And I thought that was kind of silly that, someone else is kind of worrying about you. It's kind of like saying that,
All right.
they don't trust you, so they got to make sure you put your safety belt on because they don't
All
want
right.
you to do something like
But
that.
understand you are still in this physical universe, the one you agreed to be in, and in this way it is simply giving you an opportunity now that you had the opportunity to look at the idea of trust or not trust or enforcing or not forcing through a separated point of view. Now you are looking at it through an integrated point of view, so you see what reality you are compared to that one.
Yeah.
When you are all through using the symbology of separation to look at yourself through integration, then you will not perceive the separations. But you are not through using them in a positive way yet. You have been using them in a negative way in your society. Now you are continuing to create some of the same symbols, not because you are still separating, but because now you are giving yourself the opportunity to look at them from a positive point of view. And once you are through using them in that way at all, you will simply be the blending of the polarity of positive and negative and not need those symbols.
Yeah.
Then your reality will clearly reflect the balance that you know yourself to be.
Okay.
Thank you.
I got one more thing.
Quickly.
Oh, all right. You know how you were saying, like we have a triad with you and the other people, and you said that, like, maybe in another 300 years or so, then the serious people, they'll move out and kind of like, we'll have someone else new.
Yes, in a sense.
Well, what are these people doing now?
They are in approximately, though not quite in the same methodology, in the same approximate type of expression that you experienced in what you call your Renaissance.
Well, where are they?
They are, at this time, in what you call the Barnard star systems. They are, at this time, the most likely contact you will begin to make to become their UFOs. Some of them, perhaps.
Let me just ask you one more thing. I know we got a little, not much time, but I want to know, like, do they look like us?
Close, yes.
But do they look more like us than they look like you?
Yes. You will deal in this way, quote unquote, with something that for them will be familiar, and this is one of the reasons you will choose them, so that it will be more familiar to them.
Okay. All right. I'm going to help you now.
Of course. Yes?
Yes. In the spirit of what transpired recently with Ken, I wanted to introduce myself to you. I've spoken to you a number of times. My name is Millian.
How are you?
I'm excellent.
Oh, thank you.
And I chose the name to begin with the M. The letter M came to me for about 10 years. I didn't know what it stood for. And I find it fascinating that this name you've given me also begins with an M.
Yes.
From the past life. And the question, a real quick one that I'd like to ask, is about the extraterrestrials who helped me on the weekend. Are they Syrian?
There is some involvement from that consciousness. We perceive there is primarily some other involvement. However, that is a greater percentage of the contact at this time than the Sirius energy represents. We feel at this time some of it is Pleiadian, but some of it is also some people they know with whom your civilization is not completely yet familiar. Where were you physically born?
Rolla, Missouri.
What type of experiences did you have there that, in your opinion, stand out as a child or what you call early teen?
I was raised in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I was only in Missouri for 6 months.
And you felt in the New Mexico area either physically or in your dream state, there was some sort of contact or communication with you?
Yes. I was raised, my backyard was the desert, and it was 30 miles across up to the face of the Sandy Mountains. And I always felt that there was something that drew me to the desert and to the sky.
Yes, your friends. All right. Within the next 3 of your years will be an opportunity for more connection, maybe physically, in that desert area. They have said, this is what I am allowed to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. One moment. Female. Was there female with question?
Yeah.
Well?
Lady.
What would you like to know?
Who are they? Where are they? What significance is it to me? There's something about, I don't know anything about the Pleiades, and yet the name
All right.
very familiar.
What is your name?
Naomi.
Naomi. Understand that simply generally, the Pleiadian civilization, which is a few thousand light years distant, within that constellation you call the Pleiades, will represent one of the primary contacts between your Earth consciousness and extraterrestrial consciousness. At this time, you share the same vibrational patterns in many ways. They have initiated many contacts. Stand up. Do you feel you are experiencing any type of temperature change at all? Sit down. Your dreams are going to become very wild and vivid. The communication which shall go on now in this state from this point forward will allow you to know and recognize the opening and the memory of connections that you have and certain ideas within the path you have agreed to live out with connections of that energy, of that civilization. These communications will begin in your dreams in this way, and as you allow your dream reality to become a product of your physical reality and begin to live your dreams, they will be able to manifest into physical reality as well. Your dreams are now open. There will be communication and memory of what you need to know. You may become a little bit disoriented. Do not let it fluster you. You are simply redefining yourself. All right. Allow what is in your heart to be the same as what is in your mind, to be the same as what is in your spirit. See yourself as one individual of total consciousness expanded into the totality of the entire universe that you are. My friend, we shall talk again. Well, the time has come for us to take our leave. But in this way, as we have said, there is no leaving. You and I, we are all our civilizations together blended. And in this way, we are together the sharing that continues forever. we thank you for your loving gifts of yourselves.
Thank you, Bashar.
We will bid you good night.
Thank you.